hello. This is Karin from Cosmic Messengers. And again, I'm united with my sisters, my star seeds. We're all star seeds here, united as one, as we are connected from past lives and now here. And now we are connecting to Matias' class number 2. We did class number 1 last week. And this class, as we were just talking, is just packed with information. I mean, Matias just blah 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 blah. It's like, and we're like, what? First, let me introduce my friends. We have Madeline, we have Alyssa, Bianca, and Barbara. So we're 5 star seeds, and then Matias is the star seed, and we're all just trying to learn about the universe. And of course, he's the one that gives us the concepts, and we're just here to try to understand what we are learning from this concept and just putting out our point of view, how we are applying this in our own life, and what we understand from it, and just exchange ideas. It's a round table from the class. So, hello, Madeline. How are you?
I am doing good. How about you?
Good. How did you find the class?
It was fantastic. I liked it. It was good. A lot of information, as you said.
Yes.
I got lost a couple of times in the information. I
Nice.
had to rewind and re-listen to it again.
Yeah, I hear you. I know.
Yeah.
I had to do like a transcript, and then I heard the class a second time, and then things started to make sense, because it's very fluid, everything, because everything is connected. So that's how things go. So Madeline, where are you?
Um,
You're in West Coast, right?
yeah, I'm California.
She's in California, and I'm here in New York. I mean, on the Jersey side. You would say like by the river, facing Wall Street, Manhattan, downtown Manhattan. So I'm 5 minutes away from Manhattan, in Jersey City side. And Bianca, hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you? Where are you? And how did you find this class?
I'm in my bedroom and I found it overwhelming at first because of the nature of, I guess, how it was delivered. But then, like you said, after I reviewed, the class and read the transcript, things started making more sense. But it did feel like a big Matias brain dump. And I'm sure for him it all makes sense and it's a no-brainer, but for us, so like, okay, what is going on? But yeah, very cool.
And fascinating. Yeah, and Bianca's like 4 blocks away from me. That's what I meant. But it's 9:30 p.m. here, so everybody's already in their in their house, in their abode, room, living room. And who else? Alicia, how are you?
Hello, hello. I'm good.
Where did you
I'm
find
very good.
yourself? Alicia's in Canada, right?
Yes, I'm in the capital, so it's called Ottawa.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's 9:30 here too. So, Matthias's class was a very interesting one. It's loaded with information, lots of information, and I'm still trying to remember all of it. But it's like as we speak, I'm sure it's gonna come back. But right now, it kind of feels like I have a blank. So we'll see how the information comes back because I know it's in there. But yeah, it was a very interesting module. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, agreed. And Barbara, how are you? And Barbara's in the middle of work, so she's just coming in and out just to say hello to us. So we'll keep her in mind whenever she can pop in. See, she's just giving a thumbs up. That means she can't talk, but she's present in mind and spirit, and that's I mean, she's amazing. She's just in the middle of work, but she's just trying to be part, and the effort is all that that we care. So thank you so much for being there, and you can pop in and say anything when you get a break there. All right. So I did like this terrible, as you see this picture here, and but basically this is a sketch of some of the, it's like just 12 minutes of the 45, 50-minute class that he gave, because even here there's a lot of information that was encoded. But I'm going to go from here, and I'm going to actually show Alicia's picture, because she was so kind enough to actually redo my sketch with her amazing talent for design. You know, she's got books out and they're beautiful, so she's got the experience for that. So let's start. It was a lot of information. So basically he's talking about, you know, the geometry of everything. Everything is geometry in the universe, and from as above so below. So we're talking about atomic level. So here he's talking about one side is the tree of wisdom, is the positive charge of the torus, and the tree of life is the negative side of the torus. Above you see sky, father, and then in the bottom you see that you have mother earth. So the energy comes from the bottom. Well, it depends on your perspective, but we are here on earth. That's the bottom. Mother earth, you pull that energy from Gaia, and that energy we call kundalini. So that energy goes up and basically gives it a magnetical field. Well, before the kundalini, I'm sorry, you have the magnetical field that forms the torus. So again, one side is the positive side, the negative side, and that's just polarity of the charge of the torus. So what we have is here for, let's start with the tree of life side. So what it is, it's the matrix, a toroidal womb of existence. So when we talk about the matrix, I just did a recent video about it, and matrix is just the construct of where we are in the universe, how the universe geometrically is formed. And that's the matrix, or you can call it the womb, is where we are, like a mother's womb. Or you can also call the matrix, it's the whole existence in a geometrical form. So it's not like I explained last class that you can just get out of the matrix. You are the matrix. So you are part of it. It's the ocean. You could call it the ocean as well. And it's all in geometric form. When you go down to the atomic level, it's all geometry and vibration. So thought, vibration, waves. And so he explains that through these concepts, there's the tree of life. So basically that's the pattern of expansion. So at an atomic level, you have the expansion from singularity, and it starts to fractalize, right? So that's what they call the expansion. So the tree of life gives life, right? Expands. So basically you have there through creativity, emotions. That's all the, if you can see, if I can't make this bigger, oops, I think I just did. The left side of the brain, which is all your, the feminine side, as you call it, it's emotions and the creativity. And the right side of the brain is all the analytical. So that's the part where you have rationale, the masculine. So all of that is the wisdom, tree of wisdom, which is the knowledge. Knowledge, right? Analytical, again, masculine. It's not masculine in the sense man and woman. It's just the energy, rationale, right? And then the other, emotions, So you get the differential of those two sides. So let's go back to the tree of life, which is the feminine part. Remember, left side of the brain. In the middle there, you got your pineal gland. But we'll talk about that later, about when the Kundalini hits that, what happens. So continuing here, and again, Alicia, thank you so much for putting this together. It takes time. So
Yeah, no worries.
the creativity, the emotional part, as we said. So now we have the geometry information, right? So we have one singularity expressed itself, the singularity being one node, I mean, one and then two, and then you have three. But here they're explaining what happens when you have one side, the positive, the negative, and then merging together in the middle, you find what you could call like the neutrality point of the merger of those two. So that could be a portal, because once that becomes, they start to merge, what happens is there's like it's a portal that comes in and out of information. So you can either be, it's good, a vagina, right? Exchange of information in and out, right? Or your mouth, exchange of data, information, food in and out. Food has data in it. And also there's other symbols. I mean, religion, the fish or a leaf, all those have different symbologies in spirituality. And then, it starts to fractalize, like boom, 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 boom. It's like 2, 4, 6. And here's the layout of that creation, how it starts to fractalize. Now, going back to what this class was about, I should have said that in the beginning. The class 2, Matias class 2, is where he proposes that we learn what the knees symbolize, because last class we were talking about the feet, right? It was the chakra, the feet chakra, and now this is the knee chakra. Like we haven't even heard about it, because we usually talk from the root, from your root to your crown chakras, those 7, but now with those 2, 9, and then, well, there's more, but we're focused in on those 9 right now. So now we're talking about the knees, and our human physiognomy is the 2 feet represent the trunks of the tree. So those are the pillars of the energy flow. See, one knee or one toroid goes through each one, and on the knee is the symbol that, it holds all the patterns in there. And that's on the right side, because the right side, again, that's the part where it's like the logical, the geometry part. And then on the left side, it's all regarding flexibility, change, what you can transmute from your past or your ancestors. Everything is locked. That energy is right there. It's like a vessel and comes through. So if it's too tight, there's no flexibility. So how flexible are you with regarding all those changes when that energy is supposed to be flowing, rotating through time and space? Are you transmuting everything? Are you creating those changes? And those pillars, the anchors that anchor you on that electromagnetic field, there is how it's balanced out or not. Is it rigid or is it flexible, right? Now you get down to, let's see, I want to get actually back to something here. So we talked about the transformation of our knee. Everything is a fractal, remember, from the universe. We all fractalize. So all the information that we have encoded, it comes and it fractalizes down to your knees at all the genetic from the atomic to the subatomic levels to our down to our cellular microcosmos, from the cosmos to the microcosmos. So the tree or the toroid connects it all. So why do you call it a tree? Because it's the best way to understand the matrix. It's a tree. And of course, let me see, I have some pictures that I'd like to show you. But before that, we have to get to the cellular level. And on the cellular level, you see this as a seed of life. Then there's the tree of life, the flower of life, the fruit of life. And that's the analogy you have on a geometrical side, right? That would be how everything starts to fractalize everything inside that circle. So everything is encoded within a circle. And again, what's that circle is what we see as what holds all the information. So we have here a video that is like 2 minutes, and I'd like to show you. Let's see if I can share this now. Come back to this picture. So now I'm going to show you this video, and as we're talking about what the cell represents at a as above, so below, as we were talking about. So on the microcosmos, we're going to understand what he talks about in this other class.
To pay attention to what are we looking for.
You hear it?
In the first moment,
Yes, yes.
we're looking by need, because of necessity of things. We need to eat. We need to feel safe. Once we stop looking for food and for safety because we already got it, we start to look for, to make a research through the will. We start to become willing to look for something, to go beyond. So this need that we have inside is something we are looking for. This constant research, the needs. This constant research of the needs takes us to the biggest idea of research that we have in our life from the spiritual way, which is the paradise. I wrote about that in the blog today, which is the research of paradise, something that we set in our minds like the last point where we will reach this heaven, where everything is perfect. But if we look into history, the origin of the idea of paradise is something that the nomads created going through the desert. They were looking for oases. They were looking for places where there's water. So there is water, and sometimes it was a lie, and you have to keep going. So only those who were ready to put through the desert, through the suffering, they could find the real oasis. And the first one is to create walls of mud around to protect the holy water, to protect the life, the plants. They created a garden. And walls made of mud, in the ancient languages of the Middle East, it is perides. Perides. And perides means wall of mud. And it comes the word perides, paradise, paradise, paradise is the origin of the paradise. So the idea of paradise was emerged from the need of food and water. Our constant research of our needs are the ones that keep us looking for something through needs until we find it and we are fulfilled with what we found. So we call that the paradise. This is not something someone created for us to be trapped in an idea of being looking for a paradise. No, nobody did that. It was called, it was something that just happened because some people told some people that you have to look for that oasis, and stories started to create religions and ideas of looking for this perfect place. So we humans start to look for it, but sometimes some of those humans found something and they say, oh, this is the paradise I was looking for. So you get stuck with that paradise and they say, I don't need anything else. I don't need to look for anything else because I found it. Faith that this is the right one. So I say, I have faith that this is, and I don't need anything else. So suddenly, I deny the rest, I deny all the possibilities. So even if it hurts, faith is basically the biggest denial to God. God is everything. So if I deny the rest of the part of God, because I believe that God is only the part that I believe in, I am basically denying God. And we can, for example, start to make this for our own lives.
All right, so you guys get the idea. So basically, we enclose ourselves in that paradise idea, and this is the picture. Let's go back to the picture that we had. We see the paradise, right? So we were talking about the division of we're talking about geometry. It could either be interpreted in different ways, and we'll get there. Right now, we're just talking about the geometry itself, how it forms. Its polarity. Only talking about the geometry and its polarity, because it could mean several things in an atomic level, or it can mean different things as well in microbiology. So the paradise you can see here. As you see, it can be limited if you just continue with that same circle and you don't continue to fractalize it and open yourself to expansion. So that's what we were saying, that the tree of life, basically it's the pattern of expansion. And so at a cellular level, what do you have? You have mitosis. So mitosis, do you see the full image there? Sorry. There you go. Mitosis it's the division. Half in Spanish, mitad, meio in Portuguese, mitosis. So basically that's the division of the cells that, creates another one, another one. And on the other side, you have the multiplication of the cells. So basically that's the multiplication. One is the division, and the other is how it goes and multiplies. Both of those make the potential or the creation. By having those two on its own, you get the creation. And for now, I just wanted to emphasize that this torus, basically coming from Mother Earth and going through the skies, creating the magnetical field. And we're going to talk about the Kundalini after. But as of now, have you started to understand what we're talking about? One Taurus side and the other Taurus side. One is the tree of life, and then we're going to talk about the tree of wisdom on the other side. But as far as the tree of life, do you understand? What did you understand from the class about it? So who wants to start?
I can just say quickly, like,
Yes.
pretty much what's on this image is kind of what you put together, and I just, like, in order to kind of study it, I just did it so that I could integrate it. So it's a little studying hack. But yeah, the left side, the feminine, the creative, the life, the potential of creating life, and at the cellular level, like Matias was talking about, the paradise, like, as within, so without. Like, each cell is like a tiny little paradise, protecting everything, all the information to create, or that has the potential to create life over and over again. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Alicia. And Madeline, what did you want to say about that?
I mean, the information is like floating in my head. I just don't know how to put in wording. I guess I'll wait for the others to speak. Maybe I can sort it out and just know how to how to say it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Bianca, thank you so much, Madeline. And Bianca, I'm sure a lot of people are feeling the same way. It's really hard to express it. You kind of are able to touch it, and you don't have to really grasp it, understand it, as long as you're kind of touching the essence of what is being said is what matters. And Bianca, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I think it's a little harder to grasp because it's the way he describes it is somewhat metaphorical. You know, it's not like mathematical, it's more on metaphors. But I thought the tree of life was the left knee, the feminine part of us. And then the masculine was the tree of knowledge, the tree of wisdom.
Yeah, you're right. That's what
Okay.
the picture says. Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
under the tree of life, it's the feminine side. That's what we've been talking about. You know, it's the creativity, the emotion side,
Mhm.
and the creation, the expansion.
I just want to say, I think it's because the man in the image is facing back, so we're looking at the back view, so that's why.
Right, the back of the knee.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so yeah. On top it says left, right. Maybe you know, I'm not sure. It does, but yeah, that this side is the left side that we first spoke about. I have a series of pictures here I'd like to share. Let me see if I find it. No, I can't find it. Oh wow, what is going on today? Okay, I'll find it. Give me a second. This is really, really bad. Recent. All right, some of them are here, but not all of them. I have to
You know
find.
what I'm wondering, just thinking out loud while you look, if this only applies to our human existence, or if this is for all potential life forms in the universe.
Yeah, well, we're just a reflection of all the potentials, and we are one of the potentials that came to be. So it definitely applies to that. Okay, do you see that now? Oh, okay.
But this is a great thing that you brought up. It's like this is only us or for everything. But again, um, as Karen said, we are all the same. Like it's the same concept applies for, for Gaia, for us, for the plants. I didn't know about the plants. Well, yeah, the plants too.
Hi, ladies. It's okay if I add something?
Oh, you're there. Yes.
Yes, I'm hiding. I wanted to share, first say that I was not able to watch the video yet. I'm behind, but that graphic was so awesome that it's like if I saw all the videos and I understood perfectly. What I want to share, of course, from the side of the astrology, if you guys give me permission, because I see astrology everywhere. It's funny because every time I read the chart and I learn the Toro, can you leave that one? Can you leave any of those images? Any. The Toro is okay.
Exactly.
If you make a circle around the person, that's the astrological chart, and you have the mother, the house of Cancer, the moon on the bottom of the side, the fourth house, and is the mother in the astrology, is the fourth house, and on the top you have Saturn, and that's the father. When you read the chart, what happened on the bottom of the chart is the mother, and what happened on the midheaven, that we call it, is the father. And the left side is also the sorry, that is I'm not talking about the picture, this picture. the uterus is in the left side, is the 12th house, and it's also about creation and it's about life. So when you guys were talking, of course, I translated to the chart and see the similar, how parallel is everything. It's unbelievable. I love to see everything that teaches Matias, put it on the chart.
Yeah, everything is connected. Here's just how the chakra energy from vibration turns to energy at atomic level to the cellular level. And then you have the organ in the middle. And then you have the other side, which is the left side that we're talking about, harmony, emotions, impulses, and the attributes. Well, it starts the other way, right? Attributes, impulses, and then you get, this is just how we're talking about being in the circle where there's no movement. You're just, stagnant in one circle. Well, spirituality is just everything. It also applies to that. And here's the Vesica Pisces. So again, feminine, masculine. And again, we are talking about the singularity. First energy there divided itself, right? So then you have the two polarities there, masculine and feminine. And we were explaining what the Vesica Pisces is that part there in the middle. And we also went through meiosis and mitosis, right? So you have their chromosome right in the middle, and they copy it themselves, and then one part of the cell dies and the other goes on to live a couple of hours, probably 6 to 8, and then basically it just continues the same process. It divides itself, meiosis, and then you have the mitosis, the division, and then the meiosis, the multiplication of the cell, and that equals to creation. Let me see if I got more. So here we have, again, another aspect of the tree, and you have here the 6 roots of it, and then you go up and it has 12 levels, and then above also another 6 branches. That's a whole different class, but it's connected just so you could see more or less, and probably that's what you're talking about, Barbara, because there's also the 12 constellations in the wheel of astrology. So that represents some of that in that trunk of the tree, which is the root, the basis of it all. Here's just something extra about, it's just a nice particle physics. Everything originates in a toroidal field or electric resonance. Matter is an illusion. Matter is collapsed energy. So your body is a toroidal field of energy. Therefore, you can interact with all things energetically. So why is matter an illusion? So you have first was, consciousness just floating there. Everything, what you call God, is just everything. It's the Wi-Fi, it's consciousness, right? From there, you got sound. So the waves, the thought waves started to create sound. So the first thing that there was sound. The sound, that vibration got so high, created energy, which is light, right? And that light then got so heated up and things started, and then you got matter, that compression, like forms matter. So therefore, all that is geometry. All of that process that comes to be matter is, we're talking about geometry, which are the atomic levels. And here is another field where we talk about the magnetic field of the planet. Here's what we have now, which is the normal magnetic field of the planet. But once it reverses, then we're going to go, as you see, the arrows are going to a different place. This is just to show that we're just talking about this universe, but in reality, each of those bubbles is a universe. So the universe is a multi-universe. It never ends. So think about your body, right? So what do we call each of those bubbles? You can equate it to a cell, and then everything inside it. So all of those are multiverses, but that's just a whole different topic. Now we're going to go back now to the other side of the tree, and we're going to talk about the atomic level, but I can start through here because on an atomic level, as we were talking about the creation at a galactic cosmic way or in a macro way, this way, everything that is out there is simply vibration. What do we mean by that, right? Well, again, the waves, thoughts, then waves, and inside of that technical wave, what is it? There's all these strings of energy. They're called science knows them as the string theory. So they're filaments of energy, just like your DNA, as above so below, right? So basically those strings are vibrational and its essence, and Matias is talking about that very briefly through the class because he goes everywhere. He talks about actually the quantum level. So now we're, going to really other things. So inside, let's start from the left side. So you have the atom here, you have a proton, you have the electrons and the neutrons. Inside the neutron, you can see here they have quarks. See how they are united, almost like, those strands that connect inside the chromosomes, and the quarks would be then the strands that hold, because if you get the DNA, they're all coiled around this particle. So here it's quark. Forgot the name, ribosomes. I'm sorry, it just escaped my mind, but that's where the DNA is wrapped around like a cord, a rope. And these are quarks, which are kind of similar here, that they're holding the strings inside, the filaments of energy. So that's like on atomic level. So here you have a better understanding. You go from the bottom up. So you got the electron, you got the proton, you got the atoms. And then those atoms, what happens, those atoms get together and they form molecules, right? So that's what we were talking about. See here, electron, oh, okay, wasn't that the singularity, proton? Now they're dividing themselves. Oh, they're forming, the atomic nucleus. I mean, the atoms here, and then you have the atom, the molecules getting together. So you also have that in the cellular level as well. We'll talk about that after, but here's another aspect of this. Again, you see at the end there's water, right? So you start from the quarks. So actually the protons and neutrons and the electrons, all of them have the strings inside of them, which is the vibration filaments. So all you have in the universe are those strings. Nothing else, which is what we call the vibration at the end, like really, really deep. Vibration can be the wave and everything, a sound wave, that's a vibration, like how you feel it through sound, but also on an atomic level, you have those filaments, and also on your cells, you have the equivalent of those strings, again, would be the DNA. So if you can see that, all right, now, again, this is the same thing, showing you the atoms, then the strings inside the electron, proton, the quarks. See, strings from what they call upper quark, down quarks. So we can get really technical on this explanation, but let's not do that. Let's continue back to Matias' picture. So we kind of understand how we're uniting now both macro and micro levels, cellular and atomic or subatomic, because this is all subatomic levels that we're talking about. And again, why are we talking about all of this? What? Geometry, creations, because that's what we are. This is simply how we are made, and this is simply what made us. And all that fractalization that happened from those levels to our body are the same. They're a reflex of one to another. The universe was formed in this level, atomic level, and our body, which is another universe, was formed with the same thing. But what's the singularity of our body? It's the zygote, right? The zygote divided itself. Zygote, again, we spoke about that last class. The egg and the sperm got together and formed that cell. And that zygote started to divide itself. Again, we could call it fractalization. And you have the formation of a human body, the organs and everything. So all of that division, that expansion is the tree of life that we call that Torah side. So let's go back to talk about that picture over here. Let me see if I find it. Bianca, what did you see that in the class? Did you understand that? What did you understand from that?
You mean the atoms and the particles? Sorry.
Yeah, everything that we just spoke to when you heard it in the class, like this is actually just came out yesterday. It's MIT revolutionizes cellular imaging. So you can just have a better image of a new way to see the activity inside a living cell. So this just came out yesterday, but sorry to cut you off, but continue. Yes, Bianca, what would you have to, any quotes about what you learned there in the class about that?
Yeah, I mean, what you said about the strings of information basically being vibration. So then the strings of the DNA are also vibration. I don't know. I guess, yeah, that part was a little confusing. But yeah, fun fact, I think you know this, but my dad is a physicist and he studies string theory, but obviously that has not been passed down to my little brain.
Yeah, well, we're all, well, yeah, I knew that from yeah, back when I was in college, but it's not something we use in our daily lives, so it for sure gets forgotten. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't use it, you forget it. I mean, I used to be in corporate finance, imagine, doing all these investments of millions of dollars for corporate finance, corporate companies. So forget it. I can't do any more of that. It's been a couple of years, so you forget. So here, replicates and fractalizes all the information of the entire planet and all life. So that's the atoms in the atomic level. There is no tree, but so actually what we can talk about, the tree is just a way of calling the construct, the geometry, the universe, and what everything is constructed under. That's why we're just calling it something, like, so we can have an understanding of what that the tree, the creation. So there's no tree actually, but they are just ramifications of atoms. So now we're getting to that understanding. What are we talking about? These are just ramifications of atoms. All this fractalization, matter was created through all that division and expansion of that atomic level. So inside each subatomic particle, there are strings, as I was explaining. So the vibrational filaments, those are just pure data. And it's the essence. So your question comes very handy, Bianca, because that's why I wanted to continue here, because the DNA, what is it? It's the essence. It's pure data, right? And so are the strings. So that's both are filaments that contain pure data. And what is the matrix? It's nothing but geometry and math. So we're talking about the math, right? We're talking about your dad, a super scientist. This is the essence. So as above, so below, like the DNA. So I hope that now we can
Can I say something just
Yes,
to make it more visual?
yes.
I shared something with you, actually, a picture. I don't know if you want to put it up, but like to me, because like I like to imagine things in my mind to make sense of it. But we could look at, when we say there is no tree, we could just look at, like, if we were to look at this image and imagine it as a cell, and the person in the center is like the nucleus. And if we look at the nucleus and then we start to see all those strings that come out of it, like a cell, right, at the center. So it's like it's the same patterns that are, expanded or fractalized into, macro or micro. So it's the same thing. So yeah, so if you look at that image of a cell, so that's how I almost visualize it. So it's all this information, this data that's expanding to, like, imagine like the sphere, right, of energy, the toroid, filled with information that's going out and back in, right? So like the nucleus is like the trunk of the tree, right? Where all of the information goes from the roots of the bottom and the top. Like this is just an example sometimes, just to make it more visual, but we can see in this image, like we can see those strings, we can see that nucleus, we can see that paradise, the like, the, how do you call those, the envelope of the cell, I guess that's how we call it.
The nucleus?
No, like the outside of the cell, a cell, like the membranes that are protecting the inside. We could
Yeah,
say like that's the
right.
mud of the paradise protecting it, where that, like, that water is at the center, the life, the source of life, right?
Yeah, that's a
I don't know
good.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, in your point of view, I understand what you're trying to convey. It's very interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have so fetus, universe, and here's the golden mean ratio. So basically, you have the cell, you have the atom, you have the singularity there in geometry. So see all the similarities that we keep saying, as above, so below. So all of that is basically the same thing in different aspects of creation. So you got the cell dividing itself, and then you have the geometry. Cell, universe, geometry, from left to right. And so it goes. The geometry, or the cell, the universe, multiplied itself, divided itself, and it keeps expanding. And then we have, the whole Marabula, and then you have the universe, and then you have there the tree of life, and the seed of life, and continuing on, this is again the egg, right? The seed of life, all contained what within the universe. Everything is contained there. It's just a fractalization how that happened. The flower of life. Oh yeah, I just call it seed of life. See, it's the flower of life. So these are just nodes of the planet. I don't think that belongs here. It was from the other class. The same thing. Here we have Billy Carson explaining the toroidal structure, its human energy field, has been mapped out by the Institute of Heart Math. They've used sensitive electrocardiographs, EKG, to measure the electromagnetic pulse that emanates from the center of our torus, the heart. The field generated was measured to extend up to 12 feet around the human body. And they discovered that humans and other animals can sense this energy field when in close proximity to it. So that's what we're talking about. The electromagnetic field is not just, it's scientifically observed here, as Billy Carson put that in one of his workshops. Here is the quantum DNA evolution. You can be in fear or love. Here is the same thing, just a nicer graph of how the cellular level would look like, and the geometry. Here's the tree of life, and here's a lot of trees. Okay. Now, here, of course, the seed, which is the potential of everything rooted in all that is. So that's rooted within for expansion again. And then the cycle repeats. The fruit falls off the tree, and then what? Creates a whole other tree, and then a fractalization, you could call it another universe, another you, another baby, another multiverse. And the Taurus tree of life, the tree of knowledge, and the tree of knowledge, because those are two separate ones. So let's go back and understand the difference, right? Because we were talking about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. What are those? And here is just how you find it in nature, the cellular, in an apple, the Taurus, in the universe, in our planet, even in inside a hurricane, and of course there the field in the tree. All right, so these are just more illustrations of how that works. The tree Taurus, even a tomato and human, everything has that geometry field. So even a rock will have a Taurus. And here is just the center, like Alyssa was saying, where in the core of it all is the DNA. And here's just a nice illustration. And all right, so now when anybody, oh yeah, I want to go back to that picture so we can understand and merge these all together. What are we talking about again, about those trees? So basically on that side of the tree now, the tree of wisdom, it's basically the pattern of the opposite, because one is the expansion, right? So this is the pattern of contraction. So that's within the center. Basically, it goes, because everything goes towards the inside. And the other one is expanding. Now, the tree of wisdom is basically you go in, you analyze, rationalize. So you kind of go within. You're not expressing, right, your emotions. Within, in that sense. So because basically what he said, and I'm going to read it. It's the purpose of that is to reconstruct all the info. Do we have this here? Yes, here. If you can see, it's to reconnect all the info that has been expanded. So that's what the wisdom does, right? Analyze everything. Okay, all that expansion. Okay, let me go and try to make sense out of that, right? So what has been expanded, now you're trying to make sense of that. So give sense and meaning to each one of its creations. So that side, that charge per se, is the one that's putting all the, like your right side of the brain, right? It's trying to think about all that creativity came out. It's like, oh, okay, now it's trying to analyze what that is and trying to grasp and put its hands on it so it can make sense. So that's the purpose of that field, per se. So basically, we're going back to now the needs that are processing, the needs that are just the basic pillars of our core, the trunks that stabilize everything, because each of those trunks, again, each one has a polarity. Each side has a polarity. So the right knee that holds the flexibility. Again, we spoke about that in the beginning, the change and the and transcends all. So does your right and left knees, as we spoke in the beginning, have the ability to transcend everything? And what I'm talking about in this sense for humans is transcend our past, transcend our ancestry, transcend our history. So that's, everything has been fractalized to that chakra, for that to hold that pattern in there. The right knee, again, holds the pattern of that. So do we have any questions, or do you remember any of that in the for the class? Alyssa?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about the knees in particular, so he talks about how the knees again represent flexibility, mobility. It's the two pillars that allowed the main, like the trunk, let's say, to exist. So it's like the foundation, and it's that polarity force of the negative, the positive, the good, the evil, whichever way we want to put it, but that allows us to exist and to evolve, essentially, because that flexibility is what allowed us to go on the first paths, take different paths, right? And so he talks a lot about like our ancestors and how they had to adapt, and talking about like we are, like if you go back to module 1, we are the consequence of that. And then he talks a lot about changing the habits that we have, because we've created so many habits, and maybe that has to do with like the path that we take. And so he suggested to take different paths. So take a different route to go home, eat something different, do something, like just to expand our flexibility to see what are the other options, and how can that help us, again, back to module 1, break those triangles and see a new way, right? So just like really the focusing on the flexibility, our mobility, our ability to take different paths and explore different things.
Yeah, exactly. Bianca, thank you so much, Alyssa. Bianca?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, everything Alyssa said resonated, and I agree. That's what I picked up from class as well. But I also liked that Matias finds it very important for us to know what we're consuming, because we are what we eat. I really like that part of the class where he talks about being mindful of what you ingest, and that also means the thoughts and things you consume. Yeah, because I feel like in my life, at least, I really pay attention to what I consume and ingest. So I really like that he touched on that. And
yeah, Bianca's a vegan. Beautiful. And she looks half her age. So she definitely is very knowledgeable on that. Thank you, Bianca, for that. And we'll get back to that subject because about the eating that has to do with the DNA and the Kundalini. And Barbara, how are you? Are you around? Maybe not. We'll get back to Barbara. Madeline, anything you're going to say?
Yes, I did what Matthias said, is to do the changes. So last week was all about changes for me. I have I have done everything that I did not do in the past. So where I shopped, where I tried to get this, you know, I went out of my way with everything, and um, I do feel the benefit of that because even though I'm always like that, I used to always take a different route, especially when I have extra time. I never took the same route. But I felt like, okay, I was glad that he reminded me that this is what I used to do. So I did it again and I changed um, a lot. The most important thing that I changed, I'm with, um, I'm with, I'm very, very careful about what I put inside, what I ingest, extremely careful. And I healed my sickness because I paid attention to what I ingest. And I believe my weight and everything had happened to me. It was because at some point I did ingest what I was told to ingest, not what I was feeling that I should ingest.
Mhm.
So, and now I'm going through the healing process for my body, which is going well. It's going actually fantastic, because I have no pain. Most of my pain is gone. Most of my body is improving, and it's like a journey. So, um, I really like that I listened to all of you because each one of you added a different perspective for the information that is floating in my brain. Okay.
That's a lot
It's
of
really,
coding.
I really feel like the information is like literally floating in my brain, and I see something and I just can't put in a word. But with everything you ladies said, the only thing I feel like right now doing is to just go jump and re-listen to the video again because I feel like you know it's I feel like I'm gonna gain way more extra information if I do that right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely. It's not just a one timer. It's just something we go back and listen. Here we have Jane, and I keep messing his name. Jane 106, 108. Yeah, 106. And this is just him explaining the radius. The radius of the central circle can walk around the circumference exactly 6 times. This represents perfection, order, and pure symmetry. So from the singularity, it's just again just different ways of showing geometry. Here from the Leonardo da Vinci Codex, he himself was already figuring out the pattern of the universe, of all that exists, the core of it all. We already saw that picture. Here again, the circle of life, creation of life, seed of life, the egg of life, fruit of life, flower of life, and the tree of life. And here's another torus embedded in the primal biology is akin to the electric magnetic fields around the earth. So our biology is similar to the earth's electromagnetic, and we already saw that with Billy Carson explaining it. And here the dual or double torus is reminiscent of the eternity symbol. Again, we're talking about two sides, right, of the torus, and that makes an 8, the eternity figure. And here, just more information. Cardiogenesis, again, we explained that through the Heart Math Institute that did that study that Billy Carson spoke about. Here is just the beginning of the torus, and I'll show that more in a video that you'll get the understanding of how that torus starts. Here, the egg of life, again, the original cells, and the one became two. Critical moment as the original zygote is separating. Again, our cell did that to create us. So it divided itself. Remember, one cell, what does it do? It divides itself, right? So that original zygote is separating here. And what do you have? The vesica piscis is formed. So the zygote then divides many times by mitosis to form an embryo. The first division of the zygote forms 2 cells, the next 4, the next 8, and so on up to 8-cell stage. All the cells are identical. They are called embryonic stem cells. So here we have one of that. Okay, so that's, so you kind of see, can't read everything, I'll be here all day, but you understand, you can read it after. Here again, the division is a critical moment before one becomes, then it comes 2. And here's just 12 around the 1. And here is the gastrulation, and there you go. At the stage 1 has become 3. There is now an inside and outside of the tissue forming. So we understand that. Remember, we're talking about the vesica piscis, the mouth. It's like a portal that it formed at that point. So here 2 became 4. See the geometry that forms? It's the same thing. So at the cellular level, look how the geometry is. And that's the atomic, again, it can go to the atomic level as well, because when you're putting atoms together in that triangulation, you form different elements and so forth, and then compounds and all the matter, so forth. So that's how things work, as above, so below. We call it the tree of life. Call it that name because, from our ancient history, they had in the Genesis book, all the creation, Adam and Eve, right? The first humans to be created. And before that, sorry, and on the myths, we'll talk about that, the Kundalini and the snake. But first of all, to understand the tree of life, that's the Garden of Eden that gave life to the first humans. So basically that story, the creation, if we all understand that we weren't created just from the hominids that were here, we got a little tweak from extraterrestrials, and that's the part that Matias did not elaborate, maybe because he talks about all of that in his series in the initiation at Gaia. About our creation, basically the tree of life, the expansion, and so the garden per se, he talks about it here in a video that I will show you, where he explains basically that the ETs came, and I'll show you just a few seconds about it. It's very fascinating.